Hey everyone, welcome back to another primary source walkthrough. We've got a good one. If you have been waiting for us to talk about some war, we're going to talk about some war today. What we have in front of us is Woodrow Wilson addressing the United States Congress, asking for authorization to go to war with Germany. Thus, the United States entering what we call now World War I. So, if you remember from your government class, the President of the United States cannot unilaterally declare war. He has, or she, has to go to Congress and ask Congress to vote on that authorization. Now that's a little tricky now because we have this thing called the authorization for use of military force that renewed and renewed and renewed and renewed, and was first issued right after September 11th. And so, when we do military actions in all sorts of places, it can be covered by the AUMF, and that's complicated. But, what the Constitution says is if the United States wants to go to war, Congress has to approve it. So, in the wake of a lot of things happening, Woodrow Wilson, who had run on the platform he kept us out of war in the 1916 election, is now in the next year, 1917, going to Congress and saying it's time for us to go to war with Germany. And he has to provide some sort of justification for why the United States Congress should vote to declare war on Germany and enter World War I. Because as soon as we declare war on Germany, the way that the Ally system works is the Austro-Hungarian Empire is going to declare war on us, so we're at war with them, and the Ottoman Empire is also going to declare war on us, and so we are going to be at war with them. So we become a part of that total war. Fortunately for the United States, I suppose, none of the fighting happened in our own territory. And you could make an argument that because World War I and World War II, by and large, were not fought on American soil, the only thing that really was Pearl Harbor, that's part of what allows the United States to ascend to become the world superpower. That and having a nuclear bomb, but we'll talk about that later. So, let's focus in on this. Now, there's a couple things that have happened in the lead up to the war, or this war message. You could go back as far as 1915 and say, well, let's look at the sinking of the Lusitania. The thing about the Lusitania is it does put people on edge. I will grant you that. But it happens in 1915, and Wilson runs for re-election the next year on the slogan, "He kept us out of war." So the Lusitania certainly stokes some tension, but it is not a primary cause itself for the United States entering this war. So don't fall into that trap. After the sinking of the Lusitania, what Germany does is they say, well, looks like we sunk a passenger ship. We're pretty upset about that. We're going to restrict our submarine warfare. Now, it's pretty clear to us at this point that the Lusitania was carrying several tons of arms and ammunition from the United States over to Great Britain, and that's why it sunk so fast. And Germany kind of figured this out eventually too, and we're just sending more and more money to Britain and France, and we are sending more and more arms and ammunition to Britain and France, all while saying that we're remaining neutral. What Germany does in response is they say we are resuming our program of unrestricted submarine warfare. We're going to sink any boat, no matter what, if it comes into these waters, because we know you're smuggling in all of this stuff. So it finally gets to the point where Woodrow Wilson feels that he has no other choice. We've come to a point where Germany is using violence against us, so now we have to respond in kind. So, there's things I want to point out. I want to keep this a bit shorter, so I'm not going to go through every little line here. But here's where he really starts to take us down that road of here's why we're going to do this. Vessels of every kind, whatever their flag, their character, their cargo, their destination, their errand, have been ruthlessly sent to the bottom without warning and without thought of help or mercy for those on board. The vessels of friendly neutrals along with those of belligerents. But what he's saying, friendly neutrals like us, the United States, we're a neutral party. We're friendly to everybody. That's not completely true, but that's what he's saying. Germany doesn't care. They don't give an F about these boats anymore. They're going to sink whatever. They've even sunk hospital ships, is what he's saying. Now, he continues, and he says that this challenge is going to have to be met by all mankind. We have to decide, each nation has to decide for itself how we will meet it. The choice we make for ourselves must be made a moderation of counsel and a temperateness of judgment befitting our character and our motives as a nation. We can't put excited feelings on the table. We have to be calm and rational and logical about this. And the only, thing I can think to do now, we have reached the point of no return. I need the Congress to authorize war. That's what we have to do. Germany has instituted a war against mankind because they are committing violence against our commerce. Therefore, we have no choice but to declare war against Germany. We must take immediate steps, not only to put the country in a more thorough state of defense, but also exert all its power and employ all of its resources to bring the government of the German Empire to term and end the war. Germany is out of control. Think about the logic of progressivism, the logic of progressive imperialism, I should say. We are conquering these islands, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, Guam, Cuba, the Philippines, because those people don't know how to govern themselves. That's what the logic is. Think about Beveridge's March of the Flag and Kipling's White Man's Burden poem. Those people, according to them, are uncivilized. We have to teach them how to be civilized. Well, now Germany has become uncivilized, so we have to remind them how to be civilized. It's an extension of that logic here. So, he goes on to justify the ideological underpinning of war. Our object now, as then, is to vindicate the principle of peace and justice in the life of the world as against selfish and autocratic power, and to set up among the free and self-governed peoples of the world such a concert of purpose and action as will henceforth ensure the observance of those principles. He hasn't said it yet, but he's going to say it. Trust me. We need to make the world a place for democracy. Autocracy, these empires, these places like the Austro-Hungarian Empire, like the German Empire, like the Ottoman Empire, not ruled by democratic principles. We need to undo that. We need to make sure that the peoples who are living under the thumb of these imperialists are able to determine for themselves their own path of government. There should not be any empires. Meanwhile, the United States is continually building its empire. Do with that as you will. It's kind of like Star Wars, right? I don't want to, get off into too much of a Star Wars tangent, but, think of it. Part of the message of Star Wars is that the Empire is cruelly ruling these systems like Tatooine, this outer rim system, desert planet where Luke Skywalker lives. And the Empire is evil because it's not allowing these people to rule themselves, and that's what the Rebel Alliance is supposed to do. They want to reinstitute a republic. That's the goal, at least of the rebels. watching Star Wars for politics is fun, man. It actually makes the prequels almost worth watching. Almost. Anyway, he says, and this is one of your guided reading questions for the week, we have no quarrel with the German people. We have no feeling towards them, but one of sympathy and friendship. It went upon their impulse that their government acted in entering this war. We're saying we don't hate the German people. We love the German people. We don't want to fight them, but we don't like government. And because we are going to fight, we have to make sure we're not there to kill Germans. We're there to liberate Germans. Right? That's kind of what he's getting at. I mean, think about the way he justified the war in Iraq, right? Well, we are, as they said in 2000, we will be greeted as liberators. You know, we are going into Iraq to free these people from the iron grip of Saddam Hussein. And you can be the judge of whether that was really the cause or not. But that's the same logic that's being used here. So here is where he drops his very famous line, "We are glad now that we see the facts with no veil of false pretense against them, or about them, to fight thus for the ultimate peace of the world and for the liberation of its peoples, the German peoples included, for the rights of nations, great and small, and the privilege of men everywhere to choose their way of life in obedience. The world must be made safe for democracy. Its peace must be planted upon the test foundations of political liberty. We have no selfish end. We desire no conquest, no dominion." Bruh. Really? Wrestle with that for a little bit. Really think he means that? I mean, that's what one of your essay questions is asking you to think through. Does World War I actually make the world safe for democracy? Or the United States for democracy? How is democracy doing at home? Are we really spreading democracy when we are taking over places like Hawaii and Puerto Rico and the Philippines? These are questions that you should be wrestling with. But nevertheless, this is what Wilson says that we're all about. So, I hope that this walkthrough has helped you understand what Wilson is talking about here, kind of points you in some directions as far as, you know, what are some of the stakes here, and, you know, continue to do research. Look at the book chapter, you know, read that closely, talk about, you know, really think through, you know, why did we really get into this war, number one, and number two, especially if you choose the essay question, does entering World War I actually make the United States more safe for democracy? I think you've got a lot to chew on with that. In any case, ladies and gentlemen, that'll wrap this one up. Don't hesitate to throw me a thumbs up, subscribe for more content, leave a comment, say hi, I guess. Look at me trying to be a YouTuber. Like, comment, and subscribe. Now I just need a theme song. Alright guys, we'll see you on the next one. Take it easy.